Why are you sleeping with them? Okay, take personal responsibility. It starts with the individual and the family, and then you get the society as a whole.
Okay, so I understand that the linchpin of any culture, of any community, and even for society as a whole begins with the family unit. You know what I mean? But where do we take it from there?
What do you mean?
And I mean, Black people, we fall into a lot of tribalism already. I mean, even yourself, I mean, you probably knew a couple guys that if you fucked with them, you was going to have to fight their cousins.
So you're saying, what do we do after we establish and we repair the Black family?
And how do we stop this level of, because a lot of people, when they do crime or when they do whatever, that's more of a family thing, their cousin, their brother, you know what I mean?
Because they don't have one at the house. They look to them for guidance, because they look to the gangs for guidance, you know, so to speak. That's not everybody's experience, but for the people who do, they're looking for them for guidance because they don't have it in the home.
So I guess what I'm asking you is how do we
the linchpin of any society, of any civilization, is the family.
Okay, now take it a step further.
It's the smallest form of government. It's the first one that you encounter. Your family unit. That's your foundation.
Okay, now where do we go from there?
Where do we go from there?
How do we stop? You're not addressing the tribalism that comes about because people have family.
What do you mean, the tribalism?
Like, just like
you're saying that if we restore the family unit, because I make sure I'm following this, that other families, the other Black families, will fight against each other.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, what are you saying exactly?
Also, while we're having this discussion, I wanted to also bring up this guy because he paid off Morehouse. This is pretty big, and we probably need to support this guy a little bit more. His name is see if I can zoom in, make this as clear as possible for everybody. His name is Robert F. Smith. It's a lot of money to give. This is very transformational. So we need to, and this isn't to cut you off, but just to highlight, like, we need to do more stuff like this, where when Black people become successful, they make the steps easier for other Black people. But
that's interesting. He's not a white dude that decided to cancel the debt. He's a Black dude that decided to pay him. So that started with us. That's where it always starts. That's where it's always gonna start. Now, you said something about tribalism. I don't see that as a. What do you mean? What exactly? What problem presents itself in the form of tribalism? What are you getting at with that?
I think that we confuse tribalism with like communalism and collectivization of our resources as a community. I think for a lot of areas, we're very much in the warring states era of our community, where we tend to conflict with each other in ways that I don't think any other group conflicts with each other or is so willing to conflict with each other.
You said something about addressing tribalism, the tribalism that will come. What do you mean by that exactly?
I'm not saying tribalism will come. I'm saying that, like, you yourself, like, you can admit that no matter where you go, you're always gonna run into some niggas who got some cousins or a brother or an uncle.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think we ran into that a lot. And
so you inherently have to engage in conflict with them.
I think that really it just, for me, and I'm not anti-Black, and I for the most part, like, I wholly agree with you. So we're not even really arguing right now. But I guess what I'm saying is how do we go about building that larger communal sense? And I think other communities are able to do that because they're so trapped into each other, because we weren't allowed to retain language or anything that was wholly us. You know what I mean?
Well, it's not easy. It's easier said than done. But in application, it will require some effort. What you do is, when you raise your children, You raise them to support the next man. I mean, I say the next man, but if we're talking about specifically within the black community, you teach them certain values. You teach them certain things that will allow them to operate with other people and with society as a whole, to push you as a people forward. You know, that's the solution to that. It's easier said than done. When you raise your children, how are you gonna raise your children? Let's say you've got a 2-year-old. What are you gonna say to him when he has to go to kindergarten? Are you gonna say to him, find a gang of kids and beat the hell out of people? No, you're gonna raise them to be to conform to a certain degree within the societal norms, right? So that they don't what's the phrase I'm looking for? You're gonna teach them to play nice, so to speak. And that doesn't mean getting ran over, but you're gonna teach them that there are certain things. You don't bite other kids, you don't hit other kids for no reason. There are certain things that we engage in as a social contract that keeps our society relatively civil. And you pass that information on to your children, so there isn't this every family for itself type of thing. I'm not entirely sure what you mean by the tribalism, although I do know that humans are inherently tribal. We always have been. We always sort of stick with our clan. But yeah, it just goes back to the teaching in the home. So
see, I guess you see very interpersonal, and I agree that I'm just showing black business right now because we had to shout these niggas out. You know what I mean? I'm very, we got to help out the cause in any way, and I think one of the biggest things is
let me ask you this, not to cut you off. What's your solution? What do you think we should do?
My oh well, shit. I like the show products while you're talking, but I wish you could troll this for me. Because I'm just trying to let people see it if they gonna see it. You know what I mean? But my solution is very economic. Like, I agree with you. That's the crazy part about it, is that we need to make our community stronger. So what I would want is, number one, we got to dismantle the black church. It's unhelpful, and in many ways it ends up taking money out of our community. And what we need to do is construct our own community centers where we have skill exchanges, you know what I mean? Where each person, we give to the collectivization of our community, where this is our community. If we got money to give to the church, then we got money to keep this community center open. You feel me?
Now let me ask you this. I agree with that, but let me ask you this. You said dismantle. Why is that the first thing that you would do? Not saying that we shouldn't do it, but why is that the first thing that you would do? As opposed to doing something like as opposed to something like family. Why the black church?
Well, see, because I'm not against building a family, but building a family is very it's very hard to convince people to put value in family that hasn't. You have to give them let's alleviate environment, and then let's go deeper. You know what I mean? But it's gonna be hard to just be like, let's just go to niggas and be like, you gotta have a family. Let's just do that. That's what you're gonna do now. You're gonna be a family man. Even though we know most niggas, it's not like it's this great conception that we don't know how to do better. Well, let me lived in a world where doing better ever made any sense for us.
Let me ask you this. Well, we'll keep it general. How many of us are growing up without a father in the home?
I guess quite a few. I can search that real quick.
I think it's like 60 or 70%, but fact checking. Oh man, you clicked on the first one you found.
And it's fucking Pew Research, but okay, I'll go back.
Let me just say this. I saw that stuff that came up just now. When you clicked over to the new tab, I saw one of your little Your little things. Anyway, point is that.
Okay, so for black, can you see this clearly, or do I need to zoom in? So,
it's safe to say over half.
Children in single parent families by race in the United States, black and African American, somewhere 66%, somewhere let's say roughly averaging about 65%.
Okay, do you know, statistically speaking, children do better with two parents in the homes financially. That's just one aspect, but they do better in many other aspects. Financially, they're more stable. They have more. I need to just pull this up myself. Actually, I need to just pull this up.
My issue is that you want to focus so solely on the single parent household.
No. I say it starts with that. I say we need to start with that because children have two parents in the home do better.
I guess what I was doing. Well, see, the thing is, I see that issue as so interpersonal that I know that when I have kids, I'm gonna try to give them a two-parent household.
So you said it's interpersonal, but here's the thing: what is a society made out of?
People. But right. How? Like, what makes a society? Wait a minute. You're getting a lot into like.
What makes a society?
Racism now? You're getting a lot into like self-hate here. What makes realize?
What makes a society work?
People.
How does a society stand?
Yes, but what I'm warning you,
but
logic.
But you have to answer. That's not white supremacist logic. It's logic. This is how societies work. They work behind.
This is how white supremacists convey.
They work.
Is bad because they don't have families.
And that's how you see it. But that's not necessarily the case. That's your perception of it. But here's the thing: society is.
Please get away from that mic. That was way.
Okay, let me just turn it down just a tad bit. So society is built off of people, right? People make up a society as a whole. Okay, and your relationship, your interpersonal relationships, is what makes society work. It all builds off of each other. So if you want to make a society or a civilization, that's what you're gonna have to start with. You're gonna have to build. You're gonna have to get a foundation, and it's not. You say a white supremacist. So it's white supremacy to say that we need to get our families together. That's absolutely ridiculous. That kind of logic, thinking that to say that us getting our families together is explain to me why that makes sense. And we'll leave off on that because we're coming up on the hour. That makes no sense. That makes no sense.
Let's just split this episode into two. I think there's a few natural places where it can be two parts.
Okay.
Then we just get
that was only supposed to be 15 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, we can split this episode into two and just be continued. You know what I mean? Because we're gonna cover different things. Okay, so the reason that makes sense is, or that doesn't, or why that is the white supremacist thing is that you believe that through some magical means, if niggas start having family, stuff is gonna be better. And
that's not what I said.
It will be better. Hold on. Let me explain. What you couldn't know. Please stop flicking. Well, you can flick the lighter. It's just too close to the mic. My issue with that is it's very hard. It'd be easier to have the single parents in a community collectively start putting their money together to start building resources inside of that community than to get fathers who've abandoned their children or mothers who've abandoned their children or people who are on drugs or people who are in prison to suddenly be cohesive family units. See, what I'm saying is repair, but what you want is something that is totally changed. Now we can emphasize family values.
That is the problem. But the fact that we don't have fathers in the home, the fact that they have abandoned, or they're in jail, the fact that they're, on drugs or whatever the case is that you were saying, that is the problem. That's one of the main problems. So you're telling me to ignore that?
I'm telling you to ignore it, but to just sit here and say, okay, we're just gonna make black people have cohesive family.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
Like, what I'm getting at is more of like, how do we build structures for ourselves? How do we keep the black dollar in our community? How do we collectivize our wealth for our community's enrichment?
They have to be taught to do these things when they are children. They have to. This has to be instilled in them. The best way to do that is in a family.
Okay, now take it another step further.
Okay, what's the step further? You tell me.
It's how do we use that family unit to build community?
Build community. Well, I said that. I said before. We trades are a good way to build wealth. CDLs.
A lot of trades will be automated in the next 10 years.
Okay, so what would be your solution to that? Because see, it's not just about trades. That's one way to do it right now. But it could be anyway. Starting a business to where you can employ your sons. I don't care if it's a trade or if it's a computer business. That's irrelevant. Trades are a good way right now. CDLs is a very good way right now. You can build a lot of wealth with CDLs. So maybe it will be automated in the next 10 years. It ain't now. They got folks driving it right now.
Yeah.
So
but then how does that help the longevity of our community?
You can branch out. If you have built a successful business in one area, or you have a successful business over here, that can go over here and fund something else that will have longevity. That doesn't matter. The trades don't matter, but it starts in the home, and it starts with us. Point blank. Period.
Now, what's your black economy plan?
My black economy plan. Well, what do you mean by that? Unpack that for me.
Is how do we strengthen the black economy?
So how do we recirculate the black dollar within the community?
Yes.
By shopping at our businesses. Starting businesses and then shopping at them. Instead of going to nothing against white people or Asian people or anything. But if we're talking about, recirculating the black dollar, instead of going to white boy Rick, go to Jamal and get your tire changed.
Do you think that, how there's like economic protections? Do you think our community needs economic protections?
I think that it does. But I would be willing to operate without it. I think that we need to be able and have a plan to, operate without it, because like I said before, we can't. If you're asking us to look to, and same thing with the police situation, you're asking us to look to the very society, to the very government that has systematically kept us down now for help. Is that what you're asking?
Nope.
So how do you propose we do that?
We collectivize and we use our wealth to get our candidates elected.
Okay, but then even with that still starts with us.
Yes,
that's still us helping us. That's not
see in this thing, you got your own little slave mentality going here, where you see that I'm arguing with you, but really I'm working with you. See, you cannot
wait. You said slave mentality. Unpack that for me, because that sounds like something you just say to,
because you want to sit here and argue with me and say that I'm disagreeing with you, but what I'm trying to say is like what you're doing, and I found this to be very unappealing to a lot of people, is you're preaching your morality.
Okay, well, let me see.
The black church ain't working no more.
Well, no,
because the black church just judges people.
Well, see,
I realize that we have to lift each other up in such a way and understand that we have made mistakes. That at this
here's the thing.
Time, we cannot start from wholly cohesive families.
Here's the thing.
You know what I mean?
I'm not going to defend the hill I'm not on. You keep talking about the black church. I haven't said anything about the black church morality. So you keep wanting to take it to the black church because you have a problem with religion. That's your problem. That's not my problem. I'm talking about how we better. I'm talking about how we better.
You're doing your own virtue signaling that is systematic of white supremacy, because you want to sit here and say black people are bad, and here's why they're bad.
Okay, but see, that's
if most people actually had a choice of how their family structure would be set up.
Exactly, they would choose to have an actual family structure. But here's the thing: what you're saying is you're going from one extreme to another. You're saying that because I say that we need to have family structure, or because I'm saying that our embetterment comes from us. It starts with us. You're gonna take that and say now that I'm saying that black people are bad, and that's not what I said.
I'm saying why comes from.
No, well, I'm not worried about the rhetoric. I'm worried about what I'm saying. You have to take what I'm saying. I didn't see you have conservatism, the fact that you hate conservatives and hate the right wing and hate wait a minute.
Building something monumental.
Okay, and hate the church. You're trying to bring all that over here onto this argument. I'm not talking about white conservatives. I'm not talking about the right or Trump or the church or anything like that. It's not racist rhetoric to say that family structures, that society is built on family structures.
All I'm asking,
that's not racist rhetoric. And it's ridiculous. Wait a minute. And it's ridiculous to say that. Well, because I'm saying that it starts with the black people. I'm saying that black people are bad. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I said. That's not what I implied. That's what you heard because you're so used to hearing Fox News or something. But see, that's not my problem. That's yours.
Okay, so I want this to be like an Instagram clip for the podcast. So I'm gonna make myself the whole thing. But
you know what? That's pretty ridiculous.
What I'm saying is that too often black people, we're so quick to decry our community publicly when the rest of the world decries us just for existing, that we seek to say that we are better because all the other niggas are like this and this is how I act, so I'm somehow better than every other nigga. But what I'm saying is that you're neglecting people, and what we should be doing is meeting people where they are. So that's how everything relates to the black church is often used to ostracize people and to say, well, you aren't able to give your family a perfect nuclear structure because the nigga you fuck doesn't want to raise his kids, or the bitch you fucked doesn't want to raise her kids. But what I'm saying is that to the people standing up, we have to collectivize, and through our collectivization, we will lead the others out.
Okay, now look, make me the full screen now. Now it's my turn. This nigga, make me the full screen already, cause you nabbed your little 15 minutes of fame. Now, what I'm actually saying is that what we don't need to do is we don't need to sit here and act like all of the problems are on the outside when a lot of the problems are on the inside. A lot of things we need to clean house first. We need to figure out what it is that we need to do to better ourselves as people, that we can do for ourselves, instead of going out and looking for answers here and looking for people to help us over there and blaming racism. You said something about blaming. I'm not even gonna talk about the black church. That's got nothing to do with anything. But you said something about putting people down because they have chose to sleep with a certain person. Okay, that's called personal responsibility. If you know that this person is not wanting to have a family, or they don't really care about you, why are you sleeping with them? Okay, take personal responsibility. It starts with the individual and the family, and then you get the society as a whole. Take personal responsibility in your own personal life. If we don't do that, it doesn't matter what we do, because it's all going to come crashing down, because we don't have personal responsibility in our own life. We don't have control of ourselves. We don't make the right decisions personally. So how the heck are we going to build a functional society if each individual within it is not even functional? If our families are not functional, how are you going to build a functional society or community if you're not functional on the smallest unit, which would be the individual? So that's my piece with that. Now you can go back to your, and that's got nothing to do with no white supremacy or white rhetoric. That's ridiculous. That's something that you use, a tactic that you use in order to, I don't know why you do that, but it's ridiculous.
Because a lot of the ways we choose to look at black exceptionalism,
and where do you keep coming from the black church? Where does that come from? We haven't said anything about the black church, but you got to tie religion in there. Certain things.
The reason I mentioned the black church is that the black church is
black people don't even go to church no more. When's the last time you went to church? When's the last time Josh went to church? When's the last time I went to church? All right, then. We ain't messed up because the black church. Nigga don't care what the preacher say. Shit.
Okay.
The black church. You want to bring religion into everything. It's ridiculous.
We're doing a part here. But
we need to wrap this up. I gotta eat.
Okay, well, I'm okay. So the reason I bring up the black church, and then we're each just gonna present our own economic plans. But
it didn't part, by the way.
Fuck you, by the way.
It didn't part.
We have fun on this podcast, everybody. You know, subscribe, put the Patreon.
Oh, there we go. We're trying to get that Patreon going.
You know,
tell you what,
you gonna diss it, and then you know what's gonna happen. Suddenly, I'm gonna forget the password, and then all of a sudden, there's gonna be this money. And you're like, "What the fuck? My shot balling right now. We've been doing a podcast, but I guess he gave money for something else." So,
okay. But, state your point.
Okay, so the reason I bring up the black church so much is that the black church is one of the few institutions that we actually do have that's actually supposed to be us having some type of communal effort or some type of community bringing us together. And the reason I have my issues with, or the reason I bring it up, or where I say where your argument is similar, is I feel like the black church has lost so many people because it's this bastion of morality where they just stand on these moral hills but look down upon other people and don't accept everybody. So what I'm getting at, and what you seem to be missing, is that you want to just say your family is going to solve everything. And I do believe that we do need to have nuclear family structures because family units are the beginning of society. But what do we do with all the people? If we're saying 66% of families are single parent, then what are you going to do? Are you only going to preach your whatever the fuck to those who actually have been lucky enough to create a nuclear family?
Let me say
my thing is I'm thinking about how do we build neighborhoods and we build structure and we start creating economic engines for ourselves. Like, I felt with you heavy when you talked about, stop giving our money away, but how do we go about organizing these things? How do we collectivize? Because only through collectivization can we rise. Let
me say this. You seem to equate this idea of family structure, clearly defined family structure, as being some sort of religious judgment, and it's not. The statistics show, point blank period, without the church, anything like that, that black people in general, but black people specifically, do better in 2-parent homes. That is statistical fact. That's not me on some sort of moral platitude. So if we want to do better, we need to get our families together. And another thing I said, another thing that I didn't say was that you seem to think that I think that
do you said think before, that
wait a minute. You said before that you said before that that I think that the family would just solve everything. I didn't say that. I said that it starts with that. If you want to build a civilization, if you want to build a community, you start with the individual. You start with then you go to the family. Okay, that is what builds civilizations. I didn't say that it ends with that. I said that it starts with it. And that is backed up statistically. You can't argue with it. It's got nothing to do with the black church. Okay, I understand that 66% of us are in single parent homes. Let's teach the next generation that ain't how that's not how it needs to work, because you see what position we are in. And we know that this is not working. We know that statistics, facts are showing us, we have access to that now. We know that is a much better path for us as a people. We know that, like I said before, again, sound like a broken record. We know that society is built off the individual, the family unit, and then you move on and branch on into a community and a civilization. Okay, so that's to clear that up. I'm not saying that it ends with the family. The family is going to solve everything. I'm not saying that if you get a family, then you're all of a sudden going to be rich. It's not what I said. I said that it starts with it. Got nothing to do with the church. Okay. If you don't like statistics, then you take it up with the statistics. But the reality is that people do better in a 2-parent home. Point blank, period. Can't argue with it. Can't argue with the stats. It's got nothing to do with the church. So, you know, you got way too much power on this string. You got way too much power.
But I get what you.
Well, you take that counsel. All right, that's good enough.
You got mad. You know, you can't when you're faced with and I need to pull these statistics up. When you're faced with that sort of information, you can't just, you know, holler racism. It's not that, you know, you're not afforded that luxury. And you talk about the church being on this moral platitude. A lot of the left with council culture, and we talked about this before, a lot of them are just standing on this virtue signaling. I care about everybody, therefore I'm better than you. I tweet Black Lives Matter, therefore I'm better than you. Nobody cares. You're not actually doing anything. The black church is you're preaching.
I'm not preaching anything. I'm not preaching anything.
I'm better because I want to have a nuclear family.
No, that's not what I said. I said that statistics show. I'm gonna say it again. Statistics show that people in general, but black people do better in 2-parent homes. I'm not saying that I'm better because I'm in a 2-parent home. I'm not in a 2-parent home. And I don't have a wife, so I can't say, well, I came from a 2-parent home and I'm in a I produced a family that has a 2-parent. That's not what I'm saying. I'm in that 66%.
I feel what you're saying. I'm just saying, where would you like to take it? If you could make a series of moves that you feel like will create a better outcome, how would you go about doing it? And we've already built upon the family.
The first thing I'm
choosing side of community and culture.
The first thing I'm gonna do is educate our people. And say educate our people, right? That's the first thing I'm gonna do. That's what it starts with, educating people. And this is a part of that. Knowing these statistics, knowing these facts is a part of educating us.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Let me just read this. In his powerful Washington Post essay.
Okay, you're not. Okay, so that wasn't the right screen. Okay, I'm just gonna let you read aloud from it.
So in his powerful Washington Post essay, says, "Don't deny the link between poverty and single parenthood." Robert Samuelson says, if magically a third of Americans poor escape poverty, the change would justifiably be hailed as a triumph of social policy. Similarly, in her New York Times op-ed, Ms. Crown's own analysis suggests that while strengthening family structure is no silver bullet, there is much more to be hopeful for if the family structure among black kids and all races were more stable. This actually comes from and this isn't the post that I wanted to not the post, but the fact that the site that I wanted to go to. But the point is that you can't argue with that. It's a fact. It's a statistical fact, and it's got nothing to do with it. This stuff isn't posted by JesusChristIsAlive.com. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know where you get this thing with the church. With you just have problems with the church. That's on you. You know what I'm saying? So, oh Christ, you got to. I'm gonna have to next stream. I'm gonna do the stream because you got way too much. You got way too much power with this thing.
I feel what you're saying. I'm not arguing against you. I think the way I look at it and how I address it in my life, because you cannot convince people to be parents. You can't. But what I look at it as is trying to, in my own interpersonal life, I don't entertain anybody who's not taking care of their kids. I plan on taking care of my kids, and I plan on teaching my kids to take care of their kids.
But why don't you?
Why don't I entertain people, or what?
Why don't you entertain people that aren't taking care of their kids?
Because I don't accept that. That is not the
well, then you're making a moral judgment.
Yes.
Well, isn't that something
I'm not arguing against a moral judgment.
But you said something about the church judging people.
Mm-hmm.
But you're making a moral judgment, right? And you're acting on it. I'm not going to be with this person because I morally judge you as not being what I want for whatever reason.
I mean, for the reason of, if you ain't taking care of your kids and you're supposed to love them, they're your kids, they're your responsibility.
That sounds so white supremacist.
I can trust you.
That sounds so white supremacist. So you're saying that black people are the problem, that they won't take care of their kids?
Nope. I'm saying that I don't fuck with people who don't take care of their kids, no matter what race they are.
So you think you're so much better because you would take care of your kids?
Exactly. See,
didn't you just argue? People. Didn't you? No, I didn't say anything about crucifying anybody. I simply said that black children do better in 2-parent homes, and you know that's what I said. You. See, anytime the heat gets on and I get to talking about when I get on you, when I get to that information starts rolling out, and you got to face those facts. Then I'm counseled. That's fine. Look. We really do have to end it right now.
I've been trying to fucking wrap up with you.
Okay. You said your piece. I've said mine.
Yes, I believe that community and collectivization of our wealth, seeking to enrich our community, create our own business, fucking investing in these business. Stop giving your money to people who take money out of your community. And seek a way for you and your neighbors and the people you know to build your own business and reinvest that money that you make from that business into your community would go a long way. I say doing community gardens so that we no longer live in food deserts would go a long way. I would start to say create black private schools just so that we ensure, because we've seen in numerous cases that public education misrepresents our history. There was a case in Texas where the fucking history book tried to say that slaves were workers. Now, worker and slave are two totally fucking different things. So I say that we need to start insulating our culture a little bit better and start building within. And I would say that would go miles and miles ahead. Give to you the United Negro College Fund, like really seek to. We need to be very community minded, and we need to start sharing our resources and our knowledge with each other. And that's how I believe that things will get better. Also, stop listening to rappers who advocate destabilizing our community. Okay? They're a problem.
More judgment, and you sound like a white supremacist.
If you sell drugs.
That's talking about jungle jive music. You said those niggers are still, they're down there listening to that jungle jive music. I think I need to go call the police on them. I think I need, because I'm a racist redneck. That's what you sound like. That's what you sound like. What they call niggers. That's what you sound like. That's exactly what you sound like. I'm gonna say this while I got the floor, apparently. So a strong society starts with a strong and accountable individual. Then you move on to the family level. It's the first government that you encounter in your life. Strong family, strong households is gonna make a strong society. Gonna make a strong community. You know what I'm saying? We start with that, and we move on into other things. We move on to economic success. We start businesses. We hire our own people. We circulate our black dollar. You know what? You know, you're not in control of the next stream. So I'm just gonna say that you have it. You're fired. See, this is what happens when you deal with niggers. You understand what I'm saying? This is what happens. Anyway, we need to talk about that word at some point again. Can you put yourself back on the screen, Marshawn, so we can truly wrap this up. This hour and 22 minutes. Yeah, I tell you what.
But it's gonna get split and then it's gonna get cut down, so it's fine.
Yeah. But anyway, I guess we'll end it here. This has been a very interesting debate that you have indeed.
I think black lives matter, black love matters, black families matter, black businesses matter, black people work matters too.
You know what else matters? Pigs.